Welcome to the Intentional Life podcast, where it's all about real strategies, real tools, and techniques to help you truly become the author of your life story.
Hello, guys. We're so pleased to be back again. And we are very, very excited about our previous episode. So if you haven't done so, please let us know if listening to the episode made you think a little bit more and investigate into who you actually are, all behind the masks and roles. And since the last episode was quite deep and rather conceptual, because Camilla and I, we both really, really believe in authenticity, and we think that all of us should spend conscious time trying to get to the bottom of what we're about. This time around, this week, we're focusing on something a little bit more practical because actually we had someone reach out to us and they asked us to talk a little bit more about working from home because Camilla and I both do that and sort of how we do that, how we stay productive. And also, we really want to share some productivity hacks that Camilla and I have up on our sleeve. So we're really, really psyched to be here.
We are. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We live in a world where more and more people get the chance to work remotely or even, start their own business and do their own projects. And there are digital nomads and all these things that we didn't know before. So I believe that productivity is really a very, very important issue, and I'm excited that we can talk about it and share some of our tips and hopefully receive some of your comments too, and hopefully get inspired by your tips as well. Both Wilma and I work remotely and are entrepreneurs. And in that situation, you really don't have anyone to supervise what you do or don't do in a day, right? So that means that your own motivation and ambition is really, really crucial and, very important for your overall productivity. So working from home or even while traveling can be such a great asset, and it grants you a lot of flexibility and liberty. But I think that in order to get things done and to be efficient, it's vital to have and to stick to a daily routine. I also see that with many of my clients who, as you guys know, are in their majority expat wives. So, they move to a different country following their husband's career, and very few of them have a career in that new country in the beginning. So that leaves them with a very loose and flexible structure throughout the day. And so I always stress to them the importance of implementing a routine from the get go, from the beginning, and at least on the weekdays. Yeah. And trust me, I know how hard it is to argue with that voice in your head that will always try to convince you to stay in bed for another half hour, to work on your project in the evening instead of the morning, and so forth. But the trick here really lies in not letting it even get to that stage. So I would suggest having a daily routine, whatever that looks like, and whatever you want to pack into that. Have it outlined and scheduled in ink, and not even think about whether you should or should not stick to it. So you really have to make this firm decision, because once you start thinking about it, that's when your mind, which is like your lower self mind, will come up with all kinds of very plausible excuses. And
Mm-hmm.
yet, in 99% of the cases, you and I and Vilma, we all know that we'll regret not going through with our routine, not doing the things that we had planned for the day, right? It is very frustrating to to finish the day and say, well, I haven't even gotten my things done. So don't even go there. Once you've established your daily routine, you just stick to it, and that's just that.
Oh, I love that. Amen to that. And I love this. No, truly, I think this is the secret, right? Because that touches upon a really another concept that I like to talk about and what I call is building relationship with yourself. And that
Mhm.
is by sticking to your routine, what you're doing is you're starting to be able to trust yourself and commit to yourself. Because if you decide what you're going, to plan during the day and you stick to it, you then know what sort of outcome you can expect at the end of the day. So that means that you take all the guesswork out of it. You don't hope you will have a good and productive day. You know that you're going to show up for yourself and make it happen for you. Right? And that makes it so much easier then to plan not only the day, but also plan out the week and the month and years ahead if that's what you're into, right? Because some people advise to do that, to literally write a script for your life. And when you know that you're gonna make it happen, that's when it becomes so easier, because a lot of the times what happens, people plan it out or they try scheduling. Some of my clients try scheduling and be like, what doesn't work for me? I just don't have enough time during the day to stick to what I've planned. That's when you get so demotivated to follow through. So really building that consistent showing up for the routine and the plan that you have is so, so important. And also this is something that Camilla and I have touched upon previously, which is choosing to be proactive versus reactive when it comes to your day. So reactive is when things just happen to you. You receive an email, you get a phone call, and then you just end up responding to it straight away, putting all those fires out. And what you do by doing that, you make yourself so vulnerable to getting distracted and not really doing things that actually gonna make a difference in your day and in your life. And, when you get distracted, the research actually says that it takes around 15 minutes to get back to the same focus state that you had before you got interrupted. Just think about it.
Wow.
Right? 15 minutes to get back. Ooh, goosebumps. I'm so excited to get back to, it's crazy. Look, just think of, and especially in this day and age when we're distracted all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So really what's important about putting all the productivity tools aside, I think in this day and age, what is important and what Camilla touched upon is about guarding your focus and not getting distracted.
And, I loved how you say that when we build this relationship with ourselves and we learn how to trust ourselves by basically sticking to our own promises and commitments. I was just thinking it's so interesting because that's actually what they teach you when you have a baby, to really have an established routine. And it's not really enforcing it on the baby. I mean, you wouldn't do something crazy like not giving it food for, I don't know, too many hours or something, but just having this routine, like, okay, after your bath comes the food and so forth, and that actually makes them self-secure and helps them to trust in life, basically. So I was just thinking about that. It's so interesting.
Right.
And it's still true for us as grown-ups today.
It is, isn't it? And that's the thing. That's when, because people talk a lot about anxiety and the worry that they have. And this is one of the most amazing tools to put yourself at ease and almost take back control over your life. Because look, I've got it planned. Yes, things will change. Yes, of course, life will happen and you will account for that, right? You're not going to be rigid about it. And actually,
or you can have a plan B.
You can have a plan B, you can have you have shorter version of your plan, right? There are so many things that you can do about it, but it's definitely, like you say, it creates that trust in life and sense of safety, and we all need that when things are changing so swiftly these days. So, yeah, that's a really good point, Camilla. I love that. And one of my favorite tool, I guess it is, scheduling. I'm obsessed about scheduling, and
I know you are. I love that you are.
Yeah, oh my gosh. When I show people my diary, and my planner, they get so scared. They're like, how do you even? I go like, well, I don't know how you guys live without scheduling your life. And what you do is like you schedule. I'll talk about myself, and what I advise for my clients to do is, when you schedule a day, first of all, make sure that you schedule the outcome that you want to achieve, meaning you don't create a list of what you want to get done by saying to go to a shop or like to complete a blog post. You write the result, completed blog post, right? Recorded a podcast episode. So
it's a little mind hack.
Right. That's a mind hack. That's already you prepping your brain to focus on the result as opposed to on the process. And you know what? For me, it really, really works. And, a lot of people say, like I mentioned, I think in one of the episodes, they say, oh, Vilma, this just sounds so restraining to have your day planned out like that. But you know what? I think it's the exact opposite, because once you plan out the day, what it does, it gives you an opportunity to make the most out of your life. Even though it does sound like I said, counterintuitive. But once you try that, if you just end up like, you think, oh, I just want to be flexible. I had a client and she was like, oh, Vilma, but like, it's just not who I am. I just want to like, be flexible and flow with my life, which I am into that. By the way, this is a really beautiful topic comes in to my mind, which is masculine and feminine energy, something that Camilla and I want to do the next episode on, how to stay in the flow and yet still stay organized and get things done. It's a beautiful, beautiful dance between the two energies. So we're really excited about that one. Just a little ad here, plug in. So because if you just allow yourself to throw throughout the day, sometimes it's almost like you're just like this log in the river, right? And you allow the stream to take you to whatever the stream wants to take you. And yes, you may end up in some really nice, river shores and places, but most of the time it will be just aimless floating. Right? And now once you start planning out what you want to achieve and do, and even, the places you want to visit, that's when it's almost like you build your own, badass boat and you start steering it down the stream, right?
Exactly.
Right. So it's really, really powerful. And when I was thinking about scheduling, because it's such a scary topic for some people, I was thinking, okay, what is the most easiest way to do it without getting overwhelmed or without like, planning, from 5 to 5:05, I'm going to go and pee. It doesn't have to be military, right? Like that. But what really works, especially for people who are starting out at this, is time blocks. I don't know, Camilla, have you done time blocks before?
Yes, actually, you told me about this
Right.
a few months ago. And yeah, I do that.
Okay. So just really briefly, I'm going to tell you how it works. It's pretty self-explanatory when you say time blocks. So it's literally blocking times out throughout the day and assigning each block to a certain category or activity that you're going to solely focus on. So that is, again, because we talk about multitasking, and I think now it's a trend to go back to singularly focusing on one task or activity that you want to really accomplish. So my advice is to actually plan out the day every evening in advance, meaning that even throughout the night, we talk a lot about the power of subconscious. Our subconscious then already can start prepping for the next day and thinking of ideas and suggestions and shortcuts that they could offer to you once you wake up, right? So I love planning the day in the evening. Maybe have a little evening routine where you make yourself some, chamomile tea or whatever you do, play some music and spend, 10-15 minutes. It doesn't have to be long to think of what you want to achieve throughout the coming day, and also spend maybe half an hour on Sunday as well to pre-plan the week. And so then, every single day, what you do, just revisit the plan, because, life happens. You do need to adjust to things that's changed, right? So all you need to do is just readjust and then already go to bed. It gives you a peace of mind. Like there's less anxiety again, because you know that you know what you're going to be doing once you wake up. Right?
And you will feel less overwhelmed, which, as you guys know, we did an episode on overwhelm, because it's so much more stressful to have all these to-dos in your mind, and not doing them than actually doing them. And what Vilma is mentioning is helping you to actually, defeat overwhelm.
Right. So it's purging to paper as well. It's putting everything on paper. Like I don't like to carry any of my to-dos on my mind if I don't have my paper diary, because I prefer pen and paper. I don't know about you, Camilla. Do you do like on your phone?
Actually, no, I do it on my phone. Yeah.
Right.
I wish I could lead a diary, written diary, but I don't.
Yeah. It's not handy because mine is quite big, because I like to have a page for each day, but then it's heavy. So sometimes what I do, I put things on my phone, and then I get back when I have my diary, I just transfer it to have like a complete overview. So yeah, what it does is purging to paper, and if you don't have it on your mind, that means you don't have to use the energy to think about it, because at the back of the mind is still using your energy to worry about it or think about it or plan it, right? So you make more energy available for whatever it is you're doing at the moment. So it's
and it becomes that big thing. Don't you know that? Oh my God. I know that's so well.
Yeah.
Like you keep accumulating things, and then all of a sudden it seems way too much to handle.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't do it at all.
Or
Yeah.
way bigger than it actually is. Like, oh, I need to call,
Hmm.
my friend or my doctor, and then it's just like literally 3 minute thing, and then you keep on
Yeah,
thinking about it, and then it becomes like, oh my god, I still have to call my doctor. It's like, come on, just pick up the
exactly.
phone and do it. We've all been there, yeah. So just get back to time blocks. So an example that I could offer you, so maybe it will be easier to understand. So say for instance, you take time blocks and divide your day into, say, time blocks of 3 hours. It could be anything that works for you, 2 hours, but I think 3 hours is usually the optimal time. And say, for instance, you start a day at 6 a.m. So the first block could be 6 to 9, and then 9 to 12, 12 to 3, and so on. So, say for the 6 to 9 time block, what you do is you call it like your morning preparation for the daytime, right? So you can fit in an hour of morning routine that we covered. Then the rest could be like, I don't know, if you have kids, maybe preparing their lunch, or, sorting out your clothes, or looking through your diary, maybe even scheduling in like 15 minutes with your cup of coffee, like a date with your coffee, and, kind of just chilling and meditating and imagining. Like visualization is so powerful, imagining how your day is going to go, right? But what you do is you really respect the time block, meaning that you don't do anything else. You put your phone away unless you really need to call someone, or organize something. And you focus on your morning preparation for the day, right? And then say for instance from 9 to 12, if you work in the office, what you could do is when you come in, you assign that 3 hour block solely for something that requires a lot of focus, and your thoughts need to be really focused, and you don't want to be distracted as like something you need to produce or report or something, because in the morning our focus is so much stronger. We're not tired yet. It's not that easy for us to kind of get distracted. So literally maybe informing your colleagues or your clients like, look, I am not going to answer to emails up until lunchtime. After lunchtime, I'll be available. Before lunchtime, just set that time to really produce quality work. Because, during the day, I know it happens a lot after lunch. We kind of get a little bit, distracted. We want to socialize more. So how about, from 12 to 3, you do your meetings and the calls and I don't know, emails, whatever you need to do. And so literally what you do, you just schedule your day through like this in these blocks. But what's really important is really, like I said, respect the block. Like when you have a block for really focusing and delivering results from 9 to 12, don't answer the email. If you can, don't pick up the call. Put the phone in another room if you can. Put the phone in your bag and don't check on it. Really, really just respect it. And you know what? If you do that, I had people tell me that in those 3 hours, sometimes they do more than their colleagues do in freaking week, right? Because
Hmm.
we're
I
just
believe that.
so distracted. And
Yeah.
right, and then maybe from 3 to 6 you can plan activities that require maybe organizing, setting up, cleaning, organizational. That doesn't require a lot of your mental capability, because you're usually towards the end of the day we're already tired, right? And what you can even plan in the evening is time with your partner. But necessarily, what's really important is to switch your phones off and really focus on just interacting and connecting and asking how your day went. And I really think it's just magic.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. And another thing that I was thinking about while you were talking is that, when you signal to your coworkers or your partner or your children or whoever is around you that now is your alone time, let's just say your focused working
Mm-hmm.
time, they will eventually get it, if you really stick to it. But if you start making exceptions
Yeah.
and being like, okay, well, tell me real quick, or okay, I'll help you real quick,
All right.
then they won't respect your work time,
Mm-hmm.
and it will be so much harder for you to actually carry it out that way. So
Yeah,
that is really
absolutely.
about creating good boundaries and just
Yeah.
knowing that maybe in the beginning it'll take some time to get accustomed to for the others. But if you honor yourself and your commitment to yourself enough, then they will get it, and they will not be bothered by it. Don't worry.
No, absolutely not. No, it's definitely, you're very right. You have to be quite strict and exercise your masculine energy. This is where masculine comes in and be like, look, this is my plan. No one, guess what? No one will die if you don't respond to an email straight
Oh yeah.
away. You know what I
Very
mean?
important for, I think, for us women to also know that
Yes,
we don't have to be everywhere all the time in the moment.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
and another thing that helps me a lot is creating ambiances around your home if you work at home. So, even if you don't have to be at an office at a certain hour, you should still commit to that time of the day where when you get up and take a shower and get dressed. That's super important. Don't work in your pajamas. And
Guilty, guilty.
it does not work for me, at least. And also, sitting at a comfortable but yet professional place. So
Hmm.
for me personally, the couch or the bed doesn't work. It's just a different ambiance. I'm not in work mode when I sit there, right? So I think that's a little hack that you can also try. If you need, if you need to get work done, you create a workplace in your home, or otherwise you go to a co-working space or an office. I'm actually renting an office on 2 days of the week. And I cannot tell you how much it's helped me to actually get my work done and to
Mm,
really, really focus and be efficient. Because, I have two small children at home. So
yeah.
it's not always easy to get that quiet and focused time. And also, there are no distractions because I only associate my office with work. That's the
Hmm.
reason I go there. And I'm very unlikely to get distracted because there is no fridge, there are no kids, there is no TV. I don't even
Right.
watch TV, but just saying. So I believe that creating different ambiances, such as a designated place to work, really triggers us to drop into work mode much, much faster, and also to stay in work mode until we finished what we had in mind. And I don't know if you're someone that has sleep problems, but they always tell you when you have difficulties falling asleep and staying asleep, do not use your bed for anything else or even your bedroom than sleeping.
Hmm.
So ambiances are really important to get the most of what you're about to do there.
Right.
So I'm now in the middle of moving to a new home. And I'm already thinking about creating that special and very inspiring place to work, which
Mm.
I believe is just so important to also be inspired by the place that you do your work from.
Yeah,
Where
definitely.
do you work from, Vilma?
I do a little bit of everything. I do some cafes sometimes. Sometimes when I have calls, I do get back home to, to have sort of a quiet background. I do some
Mm.
workspaces. I actually just found one that I really, really like, so I'm excited about that one. When I work from home, I completely agree with you. I have like a home office, and I tend to, when I'm at my desk, I know it's work time, and I make sure that these zones, like you said, are very clear and separated. So my bedroom
Mhm.
is full of, when you were saying, oh, if you can't fall asleep, and I was like, oh, you need to put rose quartz next to you because I'm really into crystals. Maybe we can do crystal episodes sometime. But yeah, so
I think you'll have to do that alone.
yeah. We can just listen and laugh,
I
my
will,
not funny
I
jokes. But
will.
yeah, so I have that zone. And another thing that's really important when it comes to environments, and definitely for those who work from home, is making sure that at least your work environment is neat. Do not work
Oh
on a
yeah,
desk that's messy, because guess what? If you have mess around you, it will create messy thought process in your mind. I
that is
know,
so true.
right? I know, it's so
Feng
like,
shui.
yeah, exactly. I just noticed that if I have messy room, it just doesn't work for me. I have to literally spend some time organizing things, or at this point in time, I just keep my desk clean. Like when I finish working at the end of the day, what I do, I clean it up, I sort things out, I put things in the drawer, I dust things if I need to make sure that it's almost like a sanctuary. You know what? I just feel like, you have to respect and honor the work that you do. And for me, working from a neat workplace is the respect that I show to my craft. And it definitely adds to my productivity and focus as well, because if your eyes don't sort of get stuck on sort of random items, like you said, for women especially, we notice the details. If it's dusty, what you'll do, have a call, what I'll do is just look at the dusty corner and be like, oh my god, this is just really not this is really getting on my nerves and getting distracted. So yes, I just wanted to add to that clean environments really, really help to focus.
I think so too.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And then another thing that has been a really important lesson for me actually, is to drop your perfectionism to increase your productivity. So you certainly know this. So often we think that if I don't have at least a full hour to work, then I'm not even going to get started.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to go through the effort to sit down and start the computer and get a coffee and whatever and start thinking, if then, a few minutes later I have to stop doing it
Yeah.
again. And in fact, I believe that even if we can only dedicate a small time chunk to a task per day, it's still better than not doing it at all.
Absolutely.
Because, think about it, 1 hour of work or whatever it is that you want to get done per day, um, potentially it adds up to 7 hours a week. And that's already something. And it's definitely better than nothing. So I believe that we need to drop our perfectionism from time to time, which really is also only that voice in our heads again, trying to sabotage us and setting us up to fail. Which leads me to another very, very important thing, self mastery, which I believe is the foundation for a fulfilled and an intentional life, like the one that we're trying to lead and help you to lead. And so I think it's super important that we learn to truly master ourselves in order to overcome all of those excuses and the resistance and that the distractions, because I think as a society we're so used to having someone guiding us and holding us accountable. First
Mm-hmm.
it's parents, then it's our teachers, then it's our supervisors. And I do believe the times are changing now, and that's why the importance of what we're talking about is so much higher than it probably used to be before. But I think that in order to be really productive and efficient and successful for that matter, because that will be the result, we need to learn how to master ourselves, how to
Mm-hmm.
guide ourselves, to parent ourselves, to teach ourselves, to take over that role in ourselves in order to stay motivated, even when we're not feeling up to doing something one day. What would a parent or a teacher tell you, or your supervisor? And how would you react? He would still do it. So we kind of need to learn how to adopt that role of the guidance, figure in our lives, and then avoid arguing with this voice in our heads, like I talked about before, and just focus on the end goal without allowing ourselves to get distracted all the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. It's kind of, I think, Camilla, what you're talking about is adulting. Basically taking ownership, of yourself and your life.
Exactly.
You're
We
right?
think that when we're 18 or 21 or whatever, that that's just that. Now we're free to
Right.
do. No, 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 no. We still need to do, adulting. I like
Yeah,
that word.
yeah, it's adulting. I think, we they call it. I read this article which I love, and I definitely can relate that because we're in our early 30s, and there is this Peter Pan generation, right? People of our
Mhm.
age who refuse to grow up, and they still live a life that they had when they were in their early 20s. They don't want families.
Interesting. Please share that article in
Yeah,
the
yeah, I'll
comments or in
try to
the
look for it for you because it's basically Peter Pan generation. They just refuse to grow up. So, they refuse to
Mhm.
buy properties. They're not in, in families, or they're in relationship. They refuse to get married and have kids. More and
Yeah,
more
yeah,
people
yeah.
choose not to have kids. I'm not saying it's bad, right? I'm just saying that there's an interesting pattern going on where people refuse to take
Sure.
responsibility for their lives, and then they wake up and they're like, in their 50s, and they're like, "Oh my God, what happened?" And then the first thing they want to do is shift blame on, like, oh, I come from a really dysfunctional family, so it's their fault that I didn't do well in life. No, it's not.
Mhm.
It's your responsibility to make, and create a life that you want with an intention, right?
Yeah.
So it's a bit tough, a bit of tough love, but I definitely agree with you on that, definitely taking control and self mastery, working on yourself, because it accumulates every little thing, like Camilla said. Even if you have, an hour and you think that the work was going to last 3 hours, and then you still sit down and do the work every single day, like that's how you go into self mastery. That's how you build on your craft. That's how you become, the best or one of the best in the field. That's really, really important. And regarding distractions, what you said, uh, I do believe that we cannot be focused all the time when it comes to really performing, productively. So what I'm a believer in is making sure that we take breaks, even in our productive hours. I'm a huge fan. I'm not sure if we spoke about it, of Pomodoro technique, which
Mhm.
is a timer, and where you can download a timer and you work in the blocks of 25 minutes, and then you take 5 minute break, 25, 5, and then after you finish 4 blocks like that, you have 15-minute break, 1 5. So what you do, you make sure that you only have 25 minutes. So what you'll do, you'll be like, okay, I have 25 minutes till the break. So it's almost like keeps you accountable. Be like, I'm not gonna waste it. So I'm gonna like do, write a paragraph, for instance, and then in the 5 minutes, maybe you can exercise, like do a few sit-ups, or make yourself tea, or have some fresh air, like refocus, and then
Take a
go back.
walk.
Take a
Yeah.
walk around the flat or around the block, even if you can. And really,
Hmm.
really works. I don't know, for me, it's like it does. I usually do switch on Pomodoro timer and just do, work. Another thing is, don't overwork. I am a believer that we should work smarter, not harder. And yes, you have to put in a lot of effort if you want to achieve something, but at the same time, those periods of rest, rejuvenation, renewal are so vital. And I think, like, some people tend to work throughout the weekends. Take at least one day off, because when you come back on Monday, you'll notice that you have more ideas, right? You're
Oh
you're
yeah,
working faster. You're happier. Your outlook is different. So like having
exactly.
right having that
There are
rest.
studies. There are studies that say that we cannot even focus for so many hours a day. Let's say that office, let's say you're 10 hours in the office, well, you won't be as productive by
Mm-mm.
hour 4 or 5. So taking breaks, even if, as you mentioned, it seems counterintuitive, but it is so important to increase productivity and creativity.
Right. Right. It is, isn't it? So what we're trying to say is focus more on quality instead of quantity. You don't
Mhm.
have to work long hours, but when you do, guard your focus and just focus on that and get it done. Take some breaks, make the most out of a life. There are no rules. You create the rules for your life, and literally you can do, be, and achieve anything you want as long as you're clear. First of all, like we said in last episode, who you are, what you want, and then you implement these tools and, systems that we talk about, even with productivity, to help you get there. So
Exactly.
it's really it's really exciting, you guys.
It
And
is.
talking about
And it
productivity, Camilla, do you have any stories, or like what are your challenges? Because I guess people usually relate to challenges, and maybe there's
oh
something we can
yeah.
share how we overcome it ourselves.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I guess my greatest challenge with productivity would actually rather lie in the preparation, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in my case, it's putting myself and my work first, because as a mom, there's always, a seemingly more pressing issue than work when you work from home. Um, I'm sure a lot of, moms can relate to that. So I often catch myself giving in to my kids. For instance, okay, one more bedtime story, or let's stay in the park for 10 more minutes,
Mm,
etc. And that not only takes actual time and, minutes that, as we said, they add up to hours from my scheduled work time, it also sends a message to myself saying others are more important than me and my
mm,
projects. Others' needs are more important than mine. And, no matter how subtle that message is, it will be transmitted to the subconscious, and it will manifest in the way that you approach work and excel in your work, because on a subconscious level, you'll probably start taking yourself and your work less seriously when you keep permitting others to interrupt you. And, I spend enough time with my kids, really. I'm always with them anyway. So I shouldn't feel bad about it. But for me, that's why renting the office was such a great way to combat this, because now I have my office hours and I go there specifically to work. I'm not distracted. And then when I get home, I notice that I'm so much more present and fun with my kids. It's really a win-win
exactly.
situation for
Right.
everyone. And if
Mm,
you're struggling with this challenge too, my advice is really to think about what kind of role model you want to be for your kids. And if you want them to learn that it's okay and even important to set boundaries and to put yourself or your work first sometimes, which I think is a very, very important message, especially to girls. I have boys, but I think especially to girls, this is a very new message that certainly in, previous generations, girls were just, they had to be there for the family. They had to, care for the house and the family, and there's always something to do. So thank God we now live in a generation and now raise little that can learn that it's okay to put themselves first and to pursue their own goals and dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
definitely my greatest challenge. How about you?
I wanted to say something. I was just listening to you talk. Okay, maybe we'll come back.
Mhm.
When it comes to my challenges, I think what I've noticed is that when it comes to maybe not so much working from home, but productivity in general, is that there's this thing. I was just listening to this interview the other day about solitude deprivation and how much of that is actually affecting our creativity, productivity, and just mental state,
Oh,
which is,
interesting.
yeah, which
Hmm.
is not so
Yeah.
much, because you say, oh, what do you mean solitude deprivation? You work from home, so you're probably mostly alone. But it's not about that. It's not about being physically alone. It's about you not having enough time without any impact or input from other people's brains or ideas.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's really, really switching out. So, like, say for instance, you say, oh yeah, but I go out, for a walk to a park. But if you have earbuds on and you're listening to audiobook, which is, I guess, Camilla and I were both so, into learning all the
Into,
time, right?
yeah.
We squeeze in a little bit of learning or something every single minute that we have throughout the day. That also, what I try to be more conscious of recently is not to always do that and give myself that time off,
Hmm.
um, to not have any input, because that what that does is it feeds my creativity, my own thoughts. I hear my intuition better. Like, I get excited about what I could do as opposed to just consuming and taking
Right.
information in. So, because apparently solitude deprivation apparently is the really big thing these days with connectivity, with the way we use our devices all the time, how we're
Exactly.
always
We're
connected.
always on a device, aren't we? And
Yeah.
if we're not listening to the audiobook, we're listening to music or we're
Right.
talking on the phone. Aren't we
Right.
talking on the phone like all the time?
Right.
See people walking around without anything to do and just
Right.
pondering and yeah,
Exactly.
love that.
So,
So
yeah, so like, the way we interact with digital devices, it just has massive impact on our mental health and has been linked to exactly again, anxiety, depression, people being lost and stuck in life because there is this social comparison going on constantly, right? So solitude deprivation and things to combat, what I could do to combat that, that's been my challenge. And you know what? I love it. It's a great challenge, right?
mhm.
To make sure that you consciously choose some time off just to sit in the park and look at the tree. Hey,
Yeah, I
that,
love that. And I think that really goes for almost everyone, at least,
yeah,
because life is so fast that if we always live it in a reactive way, as we explained before, it will it will start increasing our stress level. So this will be like such a slow increase that we won't even notice. But actually, the stress level that we all have, I believe, and are exposed to is way too high, and we need to disconnect way better and more often,
yeah.
definitely.
Digital detox, you guys. That's the way forward. Yeah, let's pull Eckhart Tolle. He sat on a bench for 2 years, didn't he? Before he
Yeah. Oh my God. And then look what happened, right?
look
I
what
mean, oh my God.
happened. Yes, exactly. So
Such an amazing role model.
it is, isn't it? So yeah, guys, hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you got inspired. If you have, please comment and share below. We're always so pleased to hear from you.
Yes,
Like,
we are.
Camilla and I said, like, it's all work in progress for us as well. We constantly find new things, bits and bobs that we try out. But definitely it's became more so, I think, these days, more so in the connected world, about guarding focus and focusing on one thing, as opposed to just, finding ways how to do more. I think we're kind of going backwards now and kind of slowing down and, talking about quality and all these things. So it's really, really interesting trend that's emerging.
Great. Oh, I love this episode. I cannot wait to listen to it again because I think it's really inspiring and motivating, right?
Right.
So,
Well, I mean,
I
I
have that
hope
feeling.
so.
I hope so. I hope that you guys have that feeling too. I feel super motivated now to really, up my productivity and also my quality time off and so forth. So definitely, definitely let us know what you think about this and what your comments are. We'd love to know. And as Wilma mentioned, in 2 weeks, we will be back with an episode on masculine and feminine energy, which maybe is a concept that you're new to. It's super interesting and very helpful. So we're excited about it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll speak to you in 2 weeks.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe, share, and comment, and do let us know how our tips are working out for you. You can find our websites below, and we'd love to virtually meet you there.